House Leader of Third Party.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Tuesday, I asked the minister responsible for economic development whether it should be recapitalizing the Island Coastal Economic Trust. In the response, the minister pointed to a $33 million REDIP, or the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program, as a replacement for the trust. However, I think the minister knows that this is a false equivalent. The REDIP is not an appropriate replacement for the ICE-T, and I think the minister knows it. In 2006, the provincial government created investment tools for regions across the province. The Southern Interior region received $692 million. The Central Northern region received $287.5 million, and these funds were designed so that the principle was never touched. However, for the island and coastal communities, they put $50 million into a trust that was designed to be a sinking fund. The REDIP is available to all rural communities to apply across the province. The island coastal communities are competing against those rural communities that also have access to money from their regional trusts. It's inexplicable that the minister thinks that she's provided a viable, long-term, sustainable alternative. It's not even mentioning the fact that the REDIP funds provincial priorities and the ICE-T funds local priorities. Through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Jobs. Does she still think that the REDIP is a fair and equitable replacement for the ICE-T?
Minister of Jobs and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite. Unfortunately, you've taken my words out of context. I certainly wasn't implying a replacement. Economic development is very, very important to this government and very important to my ministry. And there are many different ways to do economic development. And I pointed to REDIP as one of those great ways, one of those opportunities, one of a number of supports we're putting in place as we continue to ensure that there are good jobs available everywhere in our province, Mr. Speaker. That's the point of REDIP.
House Leader of Third Party Supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, the effect of mentioning a $33 million fund is to deflect away from the fact that this government has dragged its heels for months on recapitalizing the Island Coastal Economic Trust. It was to put a big number out there to suggest that the government is doing something to support these communities, when in fact the thing that they could be doing is following through on the comprehensive environmental, social and governance investment strategy, a 25-year fully costed business plan with detailed financial statements that was provided to this government back in September 2022. This plan proposed to this government to transform it into a first-of-its-kind model across the country, founded on co-governance with Indigenous communities and built on well-being as its core principle. They want to turn this into a permanent trust, so it's not a sinking fund, that will generate between $7 and $12 million for the rural communities that members in this place represent. The impact will be profoundly positive, $1 billion of economic impact for the rural communities on the island and coastal communities over the next 25 years. This economic trust serves 500,000 British Columbians,
Question, member.
32% of the rural population of the province. Will the minister commit today to recapitalizing the trust with at least $150 million, turning it into a permanent fund and supporting our community leaders that need these resources?
Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. And positioning me as somehow anti this fund is just incorrect, Mr. Speaker. These folks have done great work, and we know that. And I've heard from many of my colleagues about the important work of this fund. The reality is they brought a proposal forward. We're doing due diligence on that proposal, and we're working with them right now, Mr. Speaker.